You think your baby sees you as their mother, their father, their caregiver. You think they look up at your face and recognize a person. But researchers studying infant neurodevelopment have discovered something that completely flips that upside down. Your baby doesn't see a person. They see data. They are running a biological program so ancient, so precise, so extraordinarily sophisticated that what you call yourself is completely irrelevant to it. What they're building in real time, every single second they spend near you, is a predictive model of reality, and you are the primary dataset. Stay with me, because once you understand what you actually are to your baby, not what you do, not what you feel, but what you are biologically, it will change the way you show up forever. Point 1. You are not a person. You are landscape. When your baby is born, their brain is approximately 25% of its adult size. That's not a flaw, that's a feature. Nature designed it this way deliberately because the human brain is meant to be completed outside the womb, and the environment it uses to build itself, that's you. Neuroscientists call this experience-dependent neural pruning. Your baby's brain is laying down somewhere between 700 and 1,000 new neural connections per second in the first years of life. And it's not doing that randomly, it's mapping the landscape. Your voice, your smell, the specific temperature of your skin, the rhythm of your breath, the pattern of your responses when they cry. That's the landscape. You are the landscape. Every time you lean in close, every time your face softens, every time you pick them up, your baby's brain is taking a reading, logging a data point, building a topographic map of what the world is. Not you, the person, you, the terrain. And the most important question this tiny brain is asking constantly, obsessively, with every single data point, is not, who is this person? It's, is this a safe place to grow? Point 2. You are not a parent. You are a nervous system. Here's something that will sound like science fiction and is completely, verifiably real. Your nervous system and your baby's nervous system are in biological conversation. Researchers studying co-regulation, the process by which one nervous system helps another stabilize, have found that a baby's heart rate, cortisol levels, and even brainwave patterns will begin to mirror those of their primary caregiver. This was demonstrated powerfully in studies using kangaroo care, the practice of placing a newborn skin to skin on a parent's chest. The findings were extraordinary. Premature infants in kangaroo care showed measurably lower cortisol, the primary stress hormone. Their heart rate stabilized. Their oxygen saturation improved. Their weight gain accelerated. The hospital's most sophisticated equipment couldn't do what your body does automatically. You are not a parent performing tasks. You are a nervous system, broadcasting a signal. And your baby's nervous system is tuned with biological precision to receive it. When you are calm, their system reads, calm is possible here. When you are regulated, they learn regulation is the default state of this world. When you return after rupture, they encode safety is not permanent, but it is recoverable. That last lesson, we'll come back to that. It might be the most important thing in this entire video. Point 3. You are not a caregiver. You are a prediction engine. Your baby's brain is not passive. It is not simply receiving the world, it is predicting it. Neuroscientist and author Lisa Feldman Barrett has described the brain as fundamentally a prediction machine, one that is constantly generating models of what will happen next and updating them based on incoming data. For a baby, that prediction model is entirely built on you. This is exactly what the still face experiment revealed, first developed by developmental psychologist Dr. Edward Tronick in 1975 and replicated hundreds of times since. In the experiment, a mother engages playfully with her baby, smiling, responding, mirroring. Then, on cue, she goes completely still, flat face, no expression, no response. Within seconds, the baby becomes distressed, not because they're spoiled, not because they're manipulative, because their prediction model just broke. Their brain had learned, when I signal, she responds. Signal equals response. That is how reality works. And suddenly, the data stopped matching the model. Their cortisol spikes, their heart rate elevates, their entire biological system goes into alert. They are not having a tantrum, they are experiencing a scientific anomaly. You are not just a caregiver. You are the primary source code from which your baby is writing their predictive model of reality. The model they build now, do signals get responses? Does distress get comfort? Does reaching out work? Will form the template for every relationship they have for the rest of their life. That's not pressure, that's power. I want to pause here for a second, because if you're watching this, there's a good chance you've had that night. You know the one, where it's 2, maybe 3 in the morning, you've been up for the 4th time, the baby won't sleep, you've tried everything, you're running on nothing. No sleep, no patience, no certainty that you know what you're doing. And in that hollow, exhausted silence, a voice creeps in. Maybe I'm not enough. Maybe I'm doing this wrong. Maybe they'd be better off if I just... Let me stop you there. Because what that baby was doing that night, in that dark room calling out to you again, was not a behavioral problem. It was a biological success. Research on infant cortisol regulation shows that babies who are securely attached wake more frequently in the early months, not because they're bad sleepers, but because their system has correctly identified you as the most powerful co-regulator available to them. They wake up, they feel cortisol rising, and their brain says, I know exactly what resets this system. I need the landscape. They weren't broken, and neither were you. You, pacing at 3 a.m., bleary-eyed and doubting everything, you were exactly what their nervous system was calling out for. The fact that they called for you, that's not a failure. That's evidence you built something real. Point 4. You are not a role. You are a signal. In 1969, attachment researcher Mary Ainsworth identified something she called the secure base effect. She observed that children with secure attachments didn't cling to their caregivers. They explored. They would wander, investigate, test the world, and then periodically return, touch base, refuel, and go again. The caregiver wasn't a cage, they were a signal tower. What the parent was transmitting constantly without words, the world is explorable. You can go. I will be here when you return. That signal, not the words, not the instructions, not the lessons, that signal is the foundational architecture of confidence, curiosity, and resilience. Psychologists measure this through something called oxytocin release during reunion. When a securely attached child returns to their caregiver after separation, both parties show a measurable spike in oxytocin, the neurochemical associated with bonding and trust. The reunion is the data point. I left, I came back. The signal was still there. Every time you show up after absence, whether it's after a hard day, after a fight, after a moment of your own dysregulation, you are rebroadcasting the signal. You are not a role, mother, father, grandparent, guardian. Those are social labels. Biologically, you are a frequency, and your baby is always, always listening. Point 5. You are not their teacher. You are their body's first answer. Long before language, long before instruction, long before any lesson you will ever teach this child, their body asked its first question, is the world a place where I am welcome? And your body answered. This is the foundation of what developmental researchers call the internal working model, a framework proposed by psychologist John Bowlby that describes the unconscious template a child builds for all future relationships based on their earliest experiences of care. It is not built in the big moments. It is built in the accumulated data of 10,000 small ones. The moment you leaned down and made eye contact with a crying newborn, and your face said, "I see you, I'm here," that was a data point. The morning you were exhausted and you still got up and you still showed up, the times you got it wrong, you were distracted, you were short, you were simply too depleted, and then you came back, softer, and said, "I'm sorry, let's try again," that was the most important data point of all. Because what it encoded was this: rupture is not the end. Repair is possible. This system is resilient. That is not a parenting lesson. That is a biological inheritance. So here is what it all comes down to. Beneath every cry, behind every sleep regression, every tantrum, every reach upward with open hands, your baby's body is asking one question. Not, "Am I loved?" That's a concept, a language, a human abstraction. The question their nervous system is asking, in cortisol and oxytocin, in heart rate and neural pruning, in every co-regulation bid they send your way, is this: am I safe enough to grow? That is the question. And here is what I want you to hold on to, maybe for the rest of your life as a parent. You do not have to be perfect to answer it. You do not have to be endlessly patient, relentlessly present, or immune to hard days. The research on rupture and repair, validated across decades of attachment studies, tells us something profoundly liberating. It is not the absence of hard moments that builds security. It is the act of returning. Every time you regulate yourself after losing it, every time you reconnect after distance, every time you choose to come back, you are answering the question: yes, this is safe enough. You can grow here. You are not just someone who takes care of a baby. You are a landscape they are learning to trust. You are a nervous system teaching theirs how to rest. You are a signal they will spend their whole lives, consciously or not, trying to find again. You are not a role. You are their first answer, and you are enough. If this shifted something for you, if it made you see yourself a little differently in this role, I'd love for you to share it with another parent who needs to hear it today. And if you want to go deeper into the science of how our earliest relationships shape everything, consider subscribing. Because every video I make is built on one belief: understanding the biology doesn't make parenting harder. It makes you more human inside it.